Change doesn't take a lifetime. Transformation begins the moment you choose a new future in your mind. Every day, we are bombarded with thousands of thoughts. Most of them are the same as yesterday, and the day before that. This is why most people live on autopilot, locked into the past, recreating the same emotions, the same habits, the same life. But here's the truth. It doesn't take hours to change your life. It takes just 1 minute, one conscious minute. 1 minute to close your eyes, silence the noise, breathe, and tune into the life you want to live, not the one you are trapped in. In 1 minute, you can shift from fear to courage, from anger to gratitude, from stress to vision. When you practice intentional focus for just 60 seconds, you interrupt the old patterns. You become the creator instead of the reactor. You remind your body that the future you desire is more real than the past you've lived. The 1 minute practice is not about how long you meditate. It's about how intensely present you are in that short time. If you can surrender into the feeling of your future reality, not someday, but right now, you signal every cell, every gene, every part of your being to align with the new. Your brain rewires, your heart recalibrates, your life changes, all because you chose to own 1 minute over and over again. Transformation isn't about time. It's about intensity, clarity, and repetition. Own your minute. Own your future. Of course, here's an expanded version of Key Point No. Key Point No. Doyor. 1. Written in 5 paragraphs without a conclusion or ending. As you asked. 2. Most people live trapped in repetitive thoughts and emotions. From the moment we wake up, most of us unconsciously step into the same stream of thoughts that defined yesterday. We think about the same problems, anticipate the same worries, and emotionally react in the same ways we always have. It's almost as if our bodies remember who we were before our minds even get a chance to choose who we want to become. This cycle is not random. It's deeply wired into our biology. Neural networks in our brain that fire together repeatedly have become hardwired, forming a kind of mental program that runs automatically without needing conscious input. Over time, thinking becomes remembering, and remembering becomes a habit. Because these patterns are familiar, they feel comfortable even when they're painful. We can find ourselves addicted to stress, anger, guilt, or anxiety without realizing it. These emotional states, repeated over days, months, and years, shape the very lens through which we perceive reality. The body, having memorized these feelings as normal, begins to crave them, leading us to unconsciously seek experiences that reinforce the same emotions. Thus, a person's external world becomes a mirror reflecting their inner chemical state. What we experience seems to validate our thoughts, but in truth, our thoughts have been creating our experiences all along. In this conditioned loop, our ability to imagine new possibilities becomes limited. Creativity shrinks. Hope feels distant. Our vision for the future often becomes no more than a projection of our past experiences. When a mind is trapped in repetition, it's not merely thinking the same thoughts. It's reliving the same life. The same routines, the same reactions, the same conversations, all reinforcing a predictable, uninspired existence. In such a state, change seems hard, not because change is inherently difficult, but because the mind and body are anchored so deeply into the known. What is even more astonishing is that this cycle is largely unconscious. We rarely pause to ask ourselves, are these thoughts truly mine, or are they echoes of my past conditioning? Without that awareness, we unknowingly live by a memorized set of emotions and behaviors, believing that this is simply who we are. But identity in this sense is just a story we keep telling ourselves. A story shaped by the past, reinforced by familiarity, and powered by automatic repetition. We unknowingly trade our potential for the comfort of predictability. When we understand that our default state is one of repetition, we gain the first critical insight into why transformation feels elusive for so many. It's not that we lack potential, strength, or intelligence. It's that we are often imprisoned by an invisible program running beneath our awareness. Until we interrupt that program, until we step outside the habitual emotions and thoughts, real change will remain out of reach. Recognizing the nature of this internal trap is the first step toward reclaiming the power to consciously create a different life, one that is designed, not remembered. Here's an expanded version of Key Point No. 2, written in 5 paragraphs, without a conclusion or ending, just like before. Change doesn't require hours. It can begin in one focused minute. There is a common belief that true transformation demands immense time, long rituals, or years of effort. We're conditioned to think that if we want to improve our lives, we must dedicate endless hours to meditation, self-work, or study. But in reality, profound change is less about the quantity of time spent and more about the quality of the moment we fully commit to. A single minute, pure, focused, and intentional, has the power to create a deep shift in the mind and body. In that brief window, if we fully engage, we can begin to loosen the chains of the past and open a doorway to a different future. When you decide to fully occupy just 1 minute with a new thought, a new feeling, or a new belief, you disrupt the subconscious programs that have been running your life. Days it eases. You step out of the mechanical automatic patterns and into the field of possibility. It is not the length of the practice that rewires the brain. It is the depth of presence and the intensity of emotion that sparks new neural connections. In one deliberate minute, you can teach your body what a new future feels like before it even arrives. That minute becomes a seed planted in the subconscious, growing stronger each time you return to it. One focused minute allows the brain to momentarily shift out of survival mode, out of stress, fear, or doubt, and into creation. In that sacred pause, the chemistry of the body changes. Stress hormones begin to lower, the heart rhythm becomes more coherent, and the mind clears space for inspiration to enter. It doesn't take endless meditation sessions to initiate these changes. It takes 1 minute of true, undistracted engagement where you breathe, feel, and intend differently than you ever have before. This practice is powerful because it is accessible. No matter where you are, whether in the middle of a chaotic day, sitting in traffic, or facing a challenge, you have the ability to gift yourself 60 seconds of transformation. You don't need a special setting or perfect conditions. You only need the willingness to stop, center yourself, and consciously embody the version of you that you are choosing to become. In doing so, you declare to yourself and to the universe, I am no longer my past. I am becoming something new right now. The magic of the 1 minute practice lies in repetition. A single minute lived with true awareness can change the course of a day. Many minutes strung together over time can change the course of a life. Each focused minute carves a new path in the brain, reinforces a new emotional state, and strengthens a new identity. Change isn't distant. It isn't complicated. It starts in the simple, courageous decision to own just 1 minute, fully, passionately, and without distraction. Of course, here's this expanded version of Key Point No. 3 in 5 paragraphs, keeping the same deep, transformational tone. The 1 minute practice interrupts old patterns and habits. Our lives are often the sum of habits, unconscious actions, thoughts, and emotional reactions that have become automatic over time. These patterns form deep grooves in the brain, much like a river carves a canyon over centuries. Every time we think the same thought, feel the same emotion, or behave the same way, we reinforce these neural pathways, making them stronger and more dominant. Left unchecked, these old patterns become the invisible script that controls how we respond to life, even when those responses no longer serve our growth. We don't even realize we are living in a loop, a familiar but limiting version of ourselves. The 1 minute practice acts as a powerful disruptor to this cycle. When you stop in the middle of your day, even for 60 seconds, and choose to become fully conscious, to think a different thought, to breathe differently, to feel differently. You insert a wedge of awareness into what was once mechanical. It's as if you pause the predictable movie of your life and step into a place where you can write a new script. The act of doing something unfamiliar, even briefly, signals to the brain that something new is happening, and that alone begins to break the momentum of the past. In neuroscience, there's a saying, there's cells that fire apart, wire apart, wire apart. When you interrupt an old emotional reaction or habitual thought, you deny it the energy it needs to survive. Over time, with repetition, the old neural connections weaken and the emotional addiction to certain patterns fades. The 1 minute practice doesn't just make you aware of the old habits, it actively dismantles them. Each time you intervene, you send a clear message to your body and mind. This is not who I am anymore. I am choosing differently. What makes this practice so revolutionary is its simplicity. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or a crisis to initiate change. You don't need to retreat into isolation or spend hours analyzing your past. You simply catch yourself, mid-thought, mid-reaction, mid-habit, and stop. You breathe. You shift. You realign. And in that very act, you begin to recondition your body to a new mind. You start training yourself to live by choice rather than by memory. With consistent use, the 1-minute practice becomes a force that erodes the old architecture of who you were and lays the foundation for who you are becoming. Every interruption of the old makes space for the new. Every pause weakens the unconscious program and strengthens your conscious will. This is not just about change, it's about liberation. The more you interrupt the past, the more power you reclaim over your future. Here's the expanded version of Key Point No. 4 in 5 deep, flowing paragraphs, without a conclusion or ending, keeping the same empowering style. Conscious breathing and visioning in 1 minute can shift your emotional state. Breathing is the most vital and constant act we perform, yet it is often the most unconscious. Most of the time, our breath is shallow, fast, and tied to the stress rhythms of survival. However, when we take control of our breath, even for a single minute, we unlock a direct pathway to the autonomic nervous system, the very system that regulates our stress and relaxation responses. Through slow, intentional breathing, we send a signal to the body that it is safe, that it can relax, that it no longer needs to prepare for threat. In just 60 seconds of conscious breathing, the heart rate slows, blood pressure decreases, and the brain begins to exit fight or flight mode and enter a state of balance. But breath alone is only part of the equation. When we pair conscious breathing with intentional visioning, the act of seeing, feeling, and embodying a desired future, we amplify the effect exponentially. Visioning invites the mind to imagine beyond current circumstances. It allows us to step outside the habitual emotions of fear, doubt, or resentment and move into elevated states like gratitude, love, joy, and inspiration. These are not just pleasant emotions. They are highly coherent, high-frequency states that literally change the chemistry of the body. A minute spent breathing deeply while holding a vivid mental picture of your highest self or your dream reality is a minute spent rewiring the very foundations of your emotional landscape. The science behind this is profound. The body doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined event and a real one. It responds to both with the same emotional and physiological reactions. So when you breathe consciously and envision your ideal future, your body begins to feel as though that future is already happening. This shifts your internal state from waiting for change to being the change. Instead of living in the emotions of your current circumstances, you begin to live in the emotions of your desired destiny. Over time, this reconditions your body to expect, attract, and create that future as your new normal. One of the most empowering realizations is that you do not have to wait for external events to feel elevated emotions. You do not need success to feel successful. You do not need love to feel loved. You can generate these emotions from within, on command, and often in just 1 powerful minute. When you consciously breathe and visualize, you are taking authority over your internal state, no longer a victim of the external world. You become the cause of your emotions, not the effect. Practicing this, even briefly, teaches the body that it is safe to move beyond survival. It trains the mind to focus on creation instead of reaction. Each 1-minute session becomes a small but mighty act of self-liberation, a rebellion against the programmed emotions of the past, and a declaration of alignment with the future you are consciously designing. Over time, these moments accumulate, and what begins as a 1-minute shift blossoms into a new emotional baseline, a higher, freer, and more empowered version of yourself. Here's the expanded version of Key Point Now. 5. In 5 rich paragraphs, no conclusion or ending yet, keeping the style aligned. Presence and emotional intensity matter more than time spent in the pursuit of change. It's easy to believe that the longer we practice, the greater the results. We are taught that time equals transformation, that hours of meditation, endless affirmations, or prolonged focus are what ultimately rewire the mind and body. But the truth is more subtle and far more empowering. It is not how long you practice that matters. It is how fully present you are and how deeply you feel it. Presence combined with emotional intensity, creates an energy so powerful that even a single moment can ignite a profound internal shift. Presence is the art of bringing all of your attention, all of your awareness into the now. When you are truly present, there is no past to regret and no future to fear. There is only the pure energy of existence. In this heightened state, you become fully available to transformation. The body listens more intently. The mind becomes sharper. The heart opens wider. 1 minute of pure presence without distraction, without doubt, is infinitely more powerful than an hour of divided mechanical practice. It is quality, not quantity, that builds new neural pathways and imprints new emotional patterns into your being. Yet presence alone is not enough. It must be charged with emotional intensity. Emotions are the fuel that imprint thoughts into matter. When you feel something deeply, whether it's gratitude, joy, love, empowerment, you are flooding your body with biochemical signals that tell it a new reality is being lived right now. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the chemical instruction, and the faster the body begins to accept and embody the new state. In that electric emotional surge, change happens, not slowly, not over years, but immediately at the energetic level. This is why a brief but emotionally charged minute of practice can outperform long sessions performed mechanically. A single minute of breathing with gratitude so real, it brings tears to your eyes, or envisioning your future with such excitement that your heart races with anticipation, is an act of creation. It's in these highly emotional, fully present moments that you become magnetic to the reality you are imagining. You are no longer merely thinking about change. You are being the change, and your body, mind, and energy fields start aligning with that new future right away. Presence and emotion are the ingredients that collapse the gap between where you are and where you want to be. They make the invisible visible, the imagined real. Practicing for long stretches without feeling or without awareness builds little momentum. But even a few seconds of burning clarity, of authentic, powerful feeling, can become the catalyst that shifts your identity and your destiny. In the realm of true transformation, it is not about time. It is about energy, intention, and the fullness with which you live every precious minute. Here's the expanded version of Key Point No. 6. In 5 immersive paragraphs, keeping the same transformational deep style without a conclusion yet, feeling the future reality as if it's happening now rewires the brain and body. The mind is a time traveler. It can revisit the past and anticipate the future in the blink of an eye. But the body, in contrast, lives only in the now. It reacts to whatever signals it receives in the present moment. This is the secret that empowers profound change, if you can teach your body emotionally what your desired future feels like. Now, your biology begins to believe that future is real when the body believes the brain rewires. The old patterns that tied you to your history start to dissolve, and new neural architecture built on the blueprint of your future vision begins to form. Science has shown that thoughts alone can trigger emotional responses in the body. But it is the emotion, the deep felt experience, that truly anchors those thoughts into a biological reality. If you simply think about your goals without emotion, you remain in the realm of possibility. But when you feel the success, the love, the abundance, or the freedom as if it's already yours, your body shifts from waiting for the external world to deliver it to embodying it in the present. This emotional embodiment creates a new energetic signature, a new you that the external world responds to, because you are broadcasting a different frequency. In the brain, this process is measurable. When you generate the elevated emotions associated with your future, neurons fire and new patterns, new circuits are created, and old ones weaken. The brain starts to map a new internal landscape aligned with the person you are becoming, not the person you have been. Meanwhile, in the body, chemical messengers like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin flood your system, shifting your internal environment to match the emotional reality of your imagined life. In this way, you are no longer using memory to create your life. You are using vision and emotion to program a new destiny. The practice of feeling the future now is not about wishing, hoping, or longing. Those states still imply separation from your goal. Instead, it's about closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Emotionally, you live, breathe, and experience your dream life internally before it arrives externally. You become familiar with the emotions of success, of fulfillment, of deep connection. So when they eventually manifest in your outer reality, your body recognizes them because it's been living there all along. You become a vibrational match for your vision, not by waiting, but by being it first. When this becomes your daily practice, even for just one concentrated minute at a time, you set into motion the quantum mechanics of creation. You are no longer chasing a future reality. You are magnetizing it to you, because biologically, energetically, and emotionally, you are already there. Every cell, every thought, every heartbeat begins to align with the destiny you have claimed, simply because you dared to feel it now. Here's the expanded version of Key Point No. 6 in 5 immersive paragraphs, keeping the same transformational deep style without a conclusion yet. Feeling the future reality, as if it's happening now, rewires the brain and body. The mind is a time traveler. It can revisit the past and anticipate the future in the blink of an eye. But the body, in contrast, lives only in the now. It reacts to whatever signals it receives in the present moment. This is the secret that empowers profound change. If you can teach your body emotionally what your desired future feels like, now your biology begins to believe that future is real. When the body believes, the brain rewires. The old patterns that tied you to your history start to dissolve, and new neural architecture built on the blueprint of your future vision begins to form. Science has shown that thoughts alone can trigger emotional responses in the body. But it is the emotion, the deep felt experience, that truly anchors those thoughts into a biological reality. If you simply think about your goals without emotion, you remain in the realm of possibility. But when you feel the success, the love, the abundance, or the freedom as if it's already yours, your body shifts from waiting for the external world to deliver it to embodying it in the present. This emotional embodiment creates a new energetic signature, a new you that the external world responds to, because you are broadcasting a different frequency. In the brain, this process is measurable. When you generate the elevated emotions associated with your future, neurons fire in new patterns, new circuits are created, and old ones weaken. The brain starts to map a new internal landscape, aligned with the person you are becoming, not the person you have been. Meanwhile, in the body, chemical messengers like endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin flood your system, shifting your internal environment to match the emotional reality of your imagined life. In this way, you are no longer using memory to create your life. You are using vision and emotion to program a new destiny. The practice of feeling the future now is not about wishing, hoping, or longing. Those states still imply separation from your goal. Instead, it's about closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Emotionally, you live, breathe, and experience your dream life internally before it arrives externally. You become familiar with the emotions of success, of fulfillment, of deep connection, so when they eventually manifest in your outer reality, your body recognizes them because it's been living there all along. You become a vibrational match for your vision, not by waiting, but by being it first. When this becomes your daily practice, even for just one concentrated minute at a time, you set it to motion, the quantum mechanics of creation. You are no longer chasing a future reality. You are magnetizing it to you, because biologically, energetically, and emotionally, you are already there. Every cell, every thought, every heartbeat begins to align with the destiny you have claimed, simply because you dared to feel it now. Here's the expanded version of Key Point No. 7, written in 5 powerful paragraphs, keeping the deep transformational vibe flowing. 1 minute of pure focus can recalibrate your entire energy field. We are not just bodies made of matter. We are dynamic fields of energy, constantly broadcasting and receiving frequencies. Every thought, every emotion, and every intention contributes to the electromagnetic field that surrounds us. This field is not separate from who we are. It is an extension of our inner state, a real and measurable force that influences not only our health, but also the realities we draw toward us. When you focus your energy purely, even for just 1 minute, you have the power to recalibrate your entire field, shifting the signal you are sending out to the universe. Focus is a rare currency in a world of endless distractions. Most people scatter their attention across countless worries, notifications, and fragmented thoughts, diluting their energetic presence. But when you withdraw your energy from the external world and concentrate it into a single coherent point of focus, a breath, a vision, an emotion, you magnify your personal power exponentially. For 60 seconds, when your mind, heart, and body align with a clear intentional frequency, our energy field becomes ordered, strong, and magnetic. This coherence can instantly elevate your influence over your own biology and over the reality you experience. In moments of true focus, the heart and brain enter into synchronization. This creates measurable effects. The electromagnetic field around the heart grows stronger, the brain waves become more harmonious, and the body's systems function with greater efficiency. You move from a chaotic stress signal to a coherent, unified one, a signal that broadcasts clarity, strength, and openness to new possibilities. Even a brief but deeply intentional focus acts like a reset button, wiping away the noise of the old energy patterns and tuning your whole being to a new, higher vibration. The beauty of this is that it doesn't require external effort. It requires internal alignment. You don't need to control the outer world. You only need to master the quality of your own energy for just 1 minute at a time. When you center yourself in focused awareness, feeling gratitude, breathing love, embodying abundance, you are literally tuning your energetic instrument to a frequency that resonates with the life you desire. The external world, governed by unseen laws of energy and attraction, begins to organize itself around your new signal, often in ways that seem miraculous. Imagine if, multiple times a day, you pause to recalibrate, not reactively, but intentionally. Imagine the cumulative power of aligning your energy field over and over again into a consistent, coherent state. What begins as 1 minute of transformation becomes a way of living, where your very presence becomes a catalyst for change. First within yourself, and then in everything around you. 1 minute of pure, unwavering focus can, quite literally, change the field from which your entire life is created. Here's the expanded version of Key Point, written in 5 deep-flowing paragraphs. Matching the style we've built together, transformation is created through consistent, intentional, short practices. Change is not an event. It is a process, a subtle unfolding that happens through small, repeated acts of intention. We often romanticize sudden breakthroughs or massive overnight shifts, but real, lasting transformation is built moment by moment, practice by practice. It is not the intensity of a single action that redefines a life. It is the consistency of showing up again and again with focused intention to focused intention. Even short practices, a minute of conscious breathing, a minute of visioning, a minute of feeling elevated emotions, when repeated daily, compound into irreversible internal change. Each time you engage in a short, intentional practice, you are casting a vote for the future self you are becoming. You are teaching your body, your mind, and your energy field a new way of being on any single day. The shift may seem invisible. It may feel subtle, even insignificant. But underneath the surface, profound changes are taking place. Neural networks are being rewired, emotional patterns are being rewritten, and your energy signature is being recalibrated. The invisible becomes visible through the power of steady, deliberate repetition. Short practices have an advantage over long, infrequent efforts because they are sustainable. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the idea of hours of self-work each day. Life's demands pull at us constantly, but a single minute is always available. And when you stack those minutes throughout the day, pausing between meetings, breathing deeply before a conversation, visioning your future as you wake or fall asleep, you create a rhythm of transformation that flows naturally within your life. The secret is intentionality. A short practice without true engagement becomes mechanical and ineffective. But a short practice done with full awareness, full heart, and deep feeling has the power to send strong, clear instructions to the subconscious mind and the energetic field. Consistency combined with authentic intention is what forges new identities and new realities. You begin to live as if your future has already arrived, minute by minute, until one day you realize you have become the person you once only imagined. Transformation through consistent short practices is an act of self-mastery. It is the art of honoring the small moments, knowing they are the building blocks of a great destiny. When you practice in this way, change no longer feels forced. It becomes natural, inevitable. You are no longer chasing transformation. You are embodying it. The future doesn't rush toward you. It emerges from you, called forth by the cumulative power of every focused, intentional minute you have invested in yourself. Of course. Here's a suitable, powerful ending that matches the deep, transformational tone we've been using throughout your work. Ending. And so, the true magic is not hidden in distant futures or grand, overwhelming efforts. It lives here, now, in the power of the present minute. 1 minute to breathe differently. 1 minute to think a new thought. 1 minute to feel a future reality with so much authenticity that your entire being shifts. When you honor the small moments with great presence and emotion, you become the architect of your destiny. You are no longer waiting for change. You are generating it. No more living by memory. No more trapped by the past. You stand each day at the threshold of a new reality, one intentional minute at a time. This is the invitation to awaken, to align, to transform. Because your future is not something you find. It is something you create, and it begins now. In this one sacred, powerful minute, would you also like a few alternate endings, depending on the vibe you want, like more poetic, motivational, or spiritual? Microphone Sparkles, I can give you a few options if you want to choose.